I want to go over with you guys. So without further ado, this is it right here. We got tier 1, pretty affordable, official patron for $2 per month. It's not gonna hurt you guys too much. You get access to the Discord server, patron name listed in the credits. I'm gonna start doing credits at the end of the stream as a way of saying thank you for supporting the Art Lounge Alley and making you guys part of the community. Next, we got tier 2 all access patrons. So for $5 per month, you guys get all the previous tier benefits plus getting early access to finished pages and exclusive content. So I'm going to be posting first to Patreon. You guys are going to see it days ahead before I post it to other social media platforms. And exclusive content is going to be only things that I'm going to be uploading to Patreon. So nobody else is going to be able to see it unless you are a tier 2 patron and on. And as I mentioned, you get all the previous tier benefits. Next, we got tier 3, critique submission tier. Now this is where it gets interesting, y'all. For those of you who want to get some pointers, want to get some fresh perspective, and just hands-on instructions, I'm going to be doing a live demonstration and a critique. It's not just going to be auditory, it's going to be visual as well. I'm going to be doing drawings over what you submit, and just pointing out ways you guys can improve, showing you what you could do to make your drawing look better. And that's going to be held every Friday from 8 until 10 p.m. There's some things to read about on this in this tier, so you guys can access the Patreon page through the About section of the Twitch channel. So if you click over to the About section, you'll see it all the way on the right-hand side, along with other social media platforms. And you could take your time and read it at your own pace. And if you got any questions, send them away. I'll be happy to answer them. Next, we got Tier 4 Kickstarter patrons, $25 per month. Now, it's getting a little hefty, but for $25 per month, you will get a live digital portrait done. It's going to be high resolution. And once it's finished, I'm going to send that to you for you to do as you wish. I'm going to be doing it live on stream. It's going to be on Thursdays from 8 until 10. So for 2 hours, I'm going to be drawing a portrait of you once you submit to this tier. All you got to do is send me a photo of you from your head down to your chest. Also pick a favorite color. Why not? I encourage you guys to get creative with it too. You could wear masks. You could wear makeup. Put on glasses, make expressive face expressions, hats, accessories. They're all welcome. They're all highly encouraged. They'll make the stream more fun. They'll make it fun for the viewers, and you'll get an interesting image sent back to you. Portrait. But it's not required. You could just send me a simple photo of you from your head down to your chest, and I will do that on Thursday. I'll be doing a live painting of you. Next, we got Tier 5 Artist Promotion, $25 per month as well. This is really meant for intermediate or advanced artists. It's a way to introduce artists through the stream, just as you guys who are returning, seeing other artists that I've introduced as well. Now, most of them are just from me browsing and finding interesting content that I think would be cool to share. But I would like to make you, if you are an intermediate or advanced artist, part of the live stream. I think the appeal to it really is that they're out there. They're already doing it. For those of you who want to present your work, those of you who want to publicize the stuff that you're working on, as well as get familiar with people, be part of a community, and introduce your work, talk about it, whatever it is, this is an opportunity for you. It doesn't have to be extremely expert level. The idea is for you guys to connect with one another, put creative content out there, and inspire to keep going, to make more and more stuff. So for this tier, it does require for you guys to submit a 5-minute video. For those of you who are intermediate or advanced, I'm pretty sure you guys are somewhat familiar with video apps out there. iMovie is very simple. Takes a little bit of time, but probably in a day you could figure it out. It's not too complicated. And it allows you guys to present your work the way you want to present it. talk about it the way you want to, create this 5-minute video that really shows your best foot forward in a sense, or whatever it is that you come up with creatively. It allows you guys to curate it, and it's not limited to illustrators. This is for all sorts of artists. So if you know anybody who would be interested in showcasing their work, in getting more followers, exposing their work, being part of a creative community, introduce them to the Art Lounge Alley. I'd love to have them on here. There's some important info on here. There's some tips. There's some ideas for all different type of artists. So take your time, read through it, and as I mentioned, ask me any questions you got. I'll be happy to answer them. I did forget to mention that all these tiers, you guys get access to the Discord server. So most of these selections, like if I'm going to be selecting artists, if I'm going to be doing any interaction, a lot of it is going to be done through the Discord server. You guys can leave me comments and questions there. You can DM me. I'll be able to answer you through it. And it's a way to bring everybody from all the social media platforms, from all the tiers together into one room for you guys to interact with one another, to have a chat room to go to on a daily basis, and interact with one another, share your ideas, share your thoughts, share your interests, make some connections, and network with one another. So yeah, that's all really going to be included for all the tiers, the Discord channel, and you guys will have, for this tier, for tier 5, you guys will also have a private channel for each other. So for all those who submit to the tier 5 artist promotion, you guys will have a channel to interact with one another, to network, to share resources, whatever it is that you got, or collaborate to create another video for the Art Lounge Alley. So that's probably longer than I usually take to talk about each tier, but today is that day, I guess. Tier 6, private tutoring. It's limited to 15 people. It's $65 per month. You get 4 personalized videos per month. So I'm going to be sending you 1 video per week, based on what you send me. It's kind of a requirement. It's not limited to any skill level. You could be a total beginner, but you got to send me something that you're working on for me to work off of. And once that happens, I'm going to start showing you live demonstrations as well, just like the critique section, but it's going to be private. So I'm going to be sending you a video, and I'm going to be sending you a PSD file that I'm going to be working on in that video, so you could explore it at your own pace, at your own time. And you get access to a Discord server. So all of the 15 members who are going to be in this tier, you guys each have your own Discord channel with me, and that way it stays private. So whatever questions you got, whatever progress you got going, just send it to me, and I'll take a look. I'll write you back. I'll talk about it in the next video. It's going to be an excellent way for us to stay in touch while we push towards you getting better and better at drawing. But yeah, there's some things to read on here as well. There's going to be homework that I'm going to be assigning you guys, so that way you could keep your mind focused on goals as the week progresses until the next video comes out. And as I mentioned, you will get that private Discord channel. There are other benefits as well, of course. But yeah, take your time, guys, read through them at your own pace, and write me any of your questions. All right, y'all, so that pretty much does it for the Patreon page intro. That said, I'm gonna jump into figure drawing basics. Man, I gotta take care of that Conan comic. I gotta have a nice place for it because it's very precious. And I don't want it to get ruined. So like maybe I'll sandwich it in between. What is this? This is Outcast, y'all. This is a really cool comic book that I got into recently, by an illustrator named Azaceta. I'm gonna see if I could open it. Oh boy. There goes that Scotch tape. I gotta buy more of these sleeves because, well, as you guys heard, I don't want to destroy my comics. And I gotta start putting them away. But I just wanted to show you guys, since it's out, why not? You know, what this is. It's called Outcast. And as you can see, beautiful cover. Also done by Paula Azaceta. I hope I'm saying it right. I'm pretty sure it's Azaceta. Beautiful coloring in general. I'm gonna take a look. Elizabeth Breitweiser. She does an excellent job. I absolutely love the comic book because of that. You know, she does such excellent work in all of it. But as you could see, the art is great. You know, the panels have a lot of drama in them. This isn't usual, you know, this is figure drawing basics. This is more of something that you would see probably in drawing comics. But since I just picked it up, I figured, why not? Why not make it an interesting intro for you guys? For those of you who are tuning in regularly. But yeah, just to show you guys, great anatomy. I think Paula Azaceta is really nailed down anatomy and gesture, like the body gesture. There's a lot of action in his poses. You know, you could actually see this, and you could, like, I could see the motion of it, her getting slammed against the door, and all of it, like the emotions in their faces are excellent as well. I absolutely love it. There's a part of me that's always like, you should read it, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to read it because I don't want to be done with it. It's a weird thing in my head, I guess. Like, I should just read it and then reread it and then look at the panels anyways. There's just a lot going on, and I figured, you know, I will absolutely get to it. In the meantime, I'm just buying the issues. And admiring the work. I also have like the digital versions of it, which I will talk about in the next stream. I do have a gripe with that whole digital thing going again, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm probably really gonna get into it next stream, so if you guys want to hear that rant, make sure you stick around. But yeah, just going back to the comics here, just great line work, beautiful line work. And again, it's a mix of, what I like about it is that it's a mix of comics and realism. Because even that, like, something about his work, when you're looking at it, it really does portray, like, reality, in a sense. Like, in that face expression, it's real. It has a very real, it's not cartoonish, it's not, and I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying cartoonish is bad. I'm just pointing out what his style is like, and really what I like about it as well. But yeah, you look at it and there's realness in the expression, in the features as well. You know, it's anatomically correct, but yet it still retains like a comic book feel to it, which I really like. And of course, the colors really do it. You know, they really bring out the work, and it's such an important part of a comic. You know, I was looking through some digital comics today, and there were some comics that looked great if there was no color. Like, I was looking at it, I was like, man, the illustrations are good, but the colors they kind of ruin it. You know, the way that the person colored them, the colors that they chose, just did nothing for it. Did nothing for the comic book. It really could make or break the comic. But yeah, composition is great. I mean, look at this panel right here. Such a sinister panel, beautiful colors, like the lighting in the background and it like gleaming into the other room, and you could see him sitting in the darkness there. It's like such a dramatic scene. Very well executed. Yeah, great work by Azaceta. So if you guys haven't seen it, check it out. He does very good covers, and that's what really captivated my attention. Like, I was in a comic book shop, I walked by and I was like, what is this? Beautiful work, beautiful cover, beautiful colors. You know, this is just one of them. There's like a couple other ones that pretty much every single cover of Outcast is great. I'm gonna say just excellent work all around. And the story is great too. I forgot to mention, despite how I mean, just by looking at the panels, beautiful work, you know, beautiful colors. I didn't really mention the story, and the story is excellent. It's very captivating. It's very interesting. And I highly recommend you guys check this out at your local shop. It's worth buying and just flipping through it and like looking at it. You know, there's something about it, like just having the physical comic book in front of you. You could zoom in and out. You know, you could really, I don't know. I mean, you could zoom in and out of a digital one, but it's a different sort of different effect, different feel. Your scope of vision is a lot wider. Despite you zooming in and or out, you could still see the entire panel, or the entire page rather, even if you are very close to the comic book. You know, there's yeah, just because your scope of vision is so much bigger, it's more of a fun experience. Get one of those lights that hang around your neck. There's like one that's on Amazon, and it's great for this. It really does bring comics back to life for me, because before that used to be the problem. Like, where, in what setting am I going to be able to sit and read a comic book? And it has to be in good light, you know. So I'm not a big fan of overhead light, like, you know, and even then, even if it's overhead light, it's not bright enough to really illuminate the pages and bring out each of the panels. So I think for that, getting that light that hangs around your neck, it really does, it pushes me to, at least, I don't know about the rest of you, but it pushes me to sit down and actually read the physical comics. And it's fun. It's cool to unplug, you know, like not having to be on another screen, staring at another screen, with all the notifications and internet and all that other stuff. It's cool to just like put that away, sit down and actually look at a book without being connected to anything. You know, I think that's an experience that shouldn't be undermined. You know, it really does have high value on its own. So yeah, check it out. Go to a local comic shop, get yourself some issues, read them. It's absolutely worth it. You're going to be supporting a great artist, great artists in general, like writers, colorists, illustrators, all of them. And they did great work. All right, y'all. So that's enough gushing. This is like half of the stream already, but worth it, I think. Introducing you guys to this. I was planning to do it. You know, there's just so much. There's other stuff that I would like to share with you guys as well. And I actually came across Oh man, look at that. Even like the tip of this is getting worn out. Not cool, man. Not cool. Not taking care of this. And this is a very dear comic. I gotta get myself those sleeves. Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that I want to share, and I'm gonna start keeping a journal of all the stuff that I'm gonna need to put on our lounge alley. And I came across one today, actually. I was like looking through some files on my computer, and I was like, oh, there's this short film. It's this short animated film that has great concept to it. And I can't wait to share it with you guys. I'm debating on whether doing it this week or saving it for next week. Maybe I'm just gonna load this week up with a bunch of special intros. You know, I didn't expect today to be one, but yeah, it turned out to be one. Yeah, you know, I do think that it's gonna be can do another nose example here as much as space that's left. I thought, yeah, it's just gonna be one special intro, but all the stuff has started pouring in, and I would like to do more of them, but yeah, it takes some time to actually create that content for you guys. Especially the one that's coming up. It's pretty special. You know, it is an artist that I admire, and I have admired when I was younger as well. Still, to this point, it's a cool book. It's a beautiful book. I will also recommend it to you guys. Just to read about it, because it's not just about the illustrations. It's interesting how this illustrator paved the way for pinups. I'm gonna say that it's pinup artists. Just giving you guys a little taste of what's to come. But yeah, you know, he was a pinup artist during a very important, like, booming era for illustration. And I'm gonna say he was the driving point for it as well. You know, despite there were other illustrators out there at the time, his work really, I think, inspired lots and lots of people to push for more illustration. Not only artists, but just in terms of demand. You know, demand for illustration to be featured in books, in magazines, rather than just photography, because it was during the time where photography was around. You know, so yeah, I'm very excited about it, because not just because of how beautiful his work is, and I'm sure some of you have seen the work before, you know, somewhere, because it's been featured for a while, and of course a lot of companies used it. So yeah, it's going to be about illustration. It's going to be history. And just really cool times, important times for it all. And that's coming up. That's going to be hopefully towards the end of this week. I'm going to say, to be safe, Friday. Friday is going to be that special intro starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Though it might come sooner, depending how much more time I get. To work on it. So you guys are thinking like, okay, well, how does this help when it comes to like understanding drawing or drawing the nose? And my simple answer to it is that there isn't really, as I mentioned, there isn't really any shortcut to it. There isn't any specific method for drawing noses. It's just about practicing them. So even if I did show you guys a specific method, you would still have to draw and practice how to draw that specific method and nail it down through that. So what I'm getting at is basically the only shortcut is no shortcut and just continuously drawing noses over and over again. Copying them as close to the reference as possible. I mean, it's kind of similar to the eye concept. You could have this eye right here, you could draw it, but eyes vary. Their shape varies. The certain lines on the eyes vary. So really, it's just a matter of just drawing as many different faces and eyes as possible, and eventually you'll grasp the problems. You'll see over a period of time, like this is why it's important to have a sketchbook, is you could see over time where you've made the mistakes. So for instance, you keep drawing eyes, so the entire page, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 pages of eyes. You can go back to the first page and you could start correcting things. You could be like, oh, this is where it's wrong, or this is where it seems off. I didn't pay attention to the shape of the pupil. It doesn't look right. It looks like it's more towards the left or the right, but the pupil is always centered. The pupil never has more space on either side, all around the eye. It only dilates or expands. I guess that was it. Yeah. So you would make sure that is something that you follow. So like, if you want to talk about hard rules, that's a hard rule. Like for example, here, I did make a mistake here. You could see that there is more space here than there is on the other side. And I don't think that's correct. I think it has to be more. Well, then again, in this perspective, it might actually be that. I have to look at that, actually. I have to pay attention to that, because it's a little bit confusing. Because it is in perspective, maybe you don't see that much on the other side. But in most cases, yeah, it's always centered right in the middle of the iris. So it just like expands or contracts. The other rule is when you're drawing it in profile, it's obviously not going to be a round shape, and it is going to protrude. The pupil is going to protrude out, basically, because it does have texture, it does have volume. It's not just flat against the iris. It does have a little bit of shape to it popping out. So if it's something that let's say you're drawing a panel and it's really zoomed in on the eye, that's something that you could add, and it could bring more realness to it. Because essentially that's what you're doing. The more detail, like I started adding the shadow here, and rather than it just being a simple line, I added the variation of shadows, and that popped it out more and made it even more convincing, and compelling and more interesting to look at, because you're adding these little details to it. So yeah, you could add those things and it really could gravitate a person's eye and be like, oh, that's something interesting, or something about it is captivating. So yeah, the more detail you pay attention to, the more rich your library is, the more interesting your lines are going to become. And really, this is what this drawing is all about. It's like just various interesting lines. You could tell the bridge of the nose isn't straight. There's some curvature to it. There's also a little bit of, I want to say, divide on the tip of the nose. So that's always there. That's where there as well. Over here, you could see that there is more of an indent going towards the tip of the nose. So as you can see, all these features are very individualistic. Each person has their own thing here as well. This is a very individualistic looking nose. So it really just comes down to practicing, drawing them and really, really paying attention to every little bit of detail, because that essentially is what makes a drawing good or bad. Like I was looking at old images of the face, and I noticed like some lines are just sloppy. They're just not well, like even though let's say the entire figure is proportionate, because I didn't complete a line, or I made the line kind of messy and didn't really pay attention to it, it kind of broke the image. It showed carelessness. So if I notice it, I'm sure everybody else notices it as well, and they're like, that, or they're just not as compelled by the drawing. They might not know what's actually off or what's wrong with it, but the drawing loses its intrigue. I think just to the untrained eye. I think people in general, they have like a subconscious way of recognizing something that's aesthetically pleasing, but not really knowing how to pinpoint it. Just eyes gravitate towards it, whereas I think artists have refined attention to detail, which is necessary to be able to draw all this stuff. So they're able to like pinpoint things more accurately, like what is off-putting. So the same thing here. Like you don't take the time to draw certain things or complete certain lines, or you're just kind of like rushing through it. The viewers will just not be as engaged, and as interested in the work. And that's something that you should consider as important if you're drawing comics, for example, or anything else. Like let's say if you're doing like commercial illustration, that's a very important aspect. That's a very important reality to consider. But essentially, you do want to get better at it yourself. So despite all this stuff about, viewers and that sort of thing, you could just pursue it to make yourself happy with your work. Be like, man, I really put in time and effort into this, and I really brought it to life. It brought the eye to life, and I really paid attention to all the lines there. So yeah, just going on about this, I think that some people might be like, well, yeah, like how does this really help? That's basically what it is. It's just helping you develop hand-eye coordination, practice more, develop your visual library, get familiar with certain features more, and really practice to give your hand more flexibility. Train your eye to see the detail. This is a new type of nose, something that we haven't drawn, so here's a challenge. Recreate it and make it look exactly as it is in the reference. include the shadows, practice that, so you may not be able to draw this exact nose, but you did practice all these other things that really benefit your drawing. And if you really wanted to, right, you would just have to continuously practice it. So you could draw it out and then draw it again next to it, and then try to turn the page and draw it from memory, and flip back and forth to see how close it is, and then the next time do it again, but don't flip back and forth, and try to do it strictly from memory. And then if it didn't turn out well, study it and then do it again. So this process will help ingrain whatever it is that you desire. If you desire to draw this specific nose and remember its features, remember the shadows, that sort of thing, that's a great way. It's a great way to do it. Alright, I think this page has seen enough. Today's the 13th. I'm starting to date my pages more because this is a mix. This sketchbook it's an old one. It's stuff that I've done a while ago. I'm gonna say at least 5 years ago. And this is something else that I've done in this sketchbook that turned out alright. Didn't turn out to be too bad. Let's see. You guys might have seen this as something familiar, but as you could tell, I was using, I believe it was like some sort of Sharpie, and it just bleeds over to the other side. You could see it on the other end, on the other side of it. Huge bummer. I'm just reminding myself why I left so many pages blank and so many pages. Well, it's one thing to leave pages blank, but I'll say this. I could take advantage of the page fully and then move on to the next one. So trying to see what new page I can use. Actually quite a bit. Like, for example, on the back of that skeleton page, I don't want to do anything because it's gonna it turned out to be a decent drawing, and then if I do more drawing, it's gonna like puncture a hole in certain pages that I don't want to do. Just trying to find another page. That isn't such a big deal. All right, I'm gonna go along with this one. And I'm gonna do mouth drawings. More mouth drawings. Or, to start out, actually I'm gonna do a nice centerpiece. I'm gonna keep it loose. I'm gonna sketch it out. I'm not gonna press too hard for multiple reasons. Not because not just because it's good practice, good habit, but also because it's gonna like show up on the other page, or it's gonna like puncture through to the other image. So drawing lightly has multiple benefits aside from it just being a good habit. For those of you who are also revisiting your old sketchbooks. And then there are some sketchbooks that I'm just not gonna revisit because the paper sucks. Like it's worse than this. Like they'll the paper is like way too coarse. Sometimes like the ick factor, I want to say that it's another word for just not being observant of your state of mind. That's just really what it is. But I call it the ick factor, and it's something that plays into multiple things. Like for instance, if I'm doing dishes, right, before I didn't soak the dishes in water, and it was just such a pain, and that was something that would unmotivate me to want to do it. It's just like having to think about that. I'm like, oh God, I gotta go and like scrape this stuff. It's an ick factor, and that kind of like makes me procrastinate or hate the experience in a sense. But then after I started like thinking about it, like what really puts me off? Like what is it that's putting me off doing it exactly? And how can I solve that? Because it's something I gotta do, right? So then I started paying attention. I was like, well, it's that. It's the fact that I have to do all this like scrubbing, and that food stays on it. It's gross. So then, I just figured out, okay, well, then I could soak it and see how it goes. And instantly that changed the whole thing. Like I don't have to scrub any of this stuff. I soak a lot of this, the silverware in like a specific cup. But what I'm getting at is basically you just have to observe like what is getting in the way of you excelling? What's getting in the way of you wanting to do something? And, just tying that into drawing, it used to be the paper. I used to not like how the paper felt, but I didn't really pay attention to that. It was just at the moment I didn't enjoy it. And it didn't really occur to me like, hey, that's a choice. Like you can actually get yourself a better sketchbook, and you could search around, fish for something better or something that's more suitable. It was the ick factor. It was just like, I don't like how this is turning out. I don't like the lines that come out from this from the sketchbook. I don't like how it feels, and that really affects the experience. It affects the concentration. It affects the results of the drawing. sometimes when you're in a really good mood, right? Like I'm sure a lot of you guys can identify with that, like that day where you feel really inspired, you sit down and like your drawing looks much better than it usually does. And that has a lot to do with like your mood at the moment, right? Like if you are in that inspired moment, it kind of seeps into your work. So it's the same idea with these little things. So, you know, if you're not enjoying the experience and you're hating how the lines are coming out because this paper is just really coarse or it's like way too slick, it's gonna appear in your work. You're not gonna enjoy the process as much. You know, you're gonna want to put the pencil down because of that, or at least I did. I don't know, but I'm inviting you guys to pay attention to yourselves. Like, pay attention to how you feel in the process. Is there something that's getting in the way? Is there something that's kind of bugging you about the process? You know, of course, there could be things that are on your mind, but you know, if we're just talking about drawing, yeah, focus on that for a moment. Like maybe it's the chair that you're sitting on. It's like making your back ache or your hands hurt. You know, like your environment, your drawing environment is very important to the process. You know, I would say don't underestimate that. You know, focusing on it, figuring it out, and then resolving it could motivate you to sit down and do it more often. You know, just like that dishes example. Like once I figured out that is something that really bugs me, and I figured out a solution for it, it stopped being a problem, and I would just do it, and it's fine. You know, I don't hate it. I get it done, and I'm actually happy about the fact that I resolved that issue. So yeah, just take your time and feel things out. Be like, maybe it's the paper. Maybe I don't like the pencil. Maybe the top of the pencil is a little too heavy, you know, and it pushes you to get more excited about the overall experience. You'll go to an art store, you'll look at pencils, and that'll motivate you to want to go and use the pencil and sit down and draw more. You know, all these little things add up and keep you motivated, keep you going, and keep you drawing, because essentially that's like the most important part of it all, is to keep drawing, to keep practicing. So all those things can make it much better for you. For me, that was also another factor. Like I didn't pay attention to the pencils, and you know, I would use a mechanical pencil that's really top heavy, or just heavy in general, and that kind of had an effect on how I drew, you know, or how I felt drawing. Like it did feel like something was weighing down. I didn't have like this kind of balanced sense of drawing in a way. And then I experimented with other pencils. Like I spent so much time working with that heavy pencil that when I went to an art store, I picked up another mechanical pencil. I instantly felt a difference. I was like, wow, that feels lighter. Like this is kind of cool, actually. Like I'm able to travel around a lot faster around the paper, a lot faster. I didn't focus as much on the pencil anymore. It wasn't, you know, like the physical feeling of it. I wasn't focused on that, and it allowed me to like really focus on the lines that I wanted to make. And that was a game changer for me as well. And I was really happy about that, because then I went home, and when I sat down and I was drawing it, it put me in that like inspired mood. I wanted to try that out. So, yeah, I encourage you guys to do the same. Play around with that stuff. See how you feel about the paper that you're using, the sketch pad that you're using. But be careful not to get caught up in that. Like, there's some people who get caught up in products too much, or they're like, oh, I'm gonna buy this and I'm gonna feel inspired, I'm gonna buy that and I'm gonna feel inspired, and they do everything but draw. And I've come across that so often. Like, the times that I worked in a school and there were people who were just like obsessing with this brush and that, like this thing, and like they were just going around spending money on tools, and that's all it was. But when it came down to drawing, they didn't spend much time drawing at all. You know, they're just like kind of like fanatics about art supplies. And that becomes like a form of procrastination. So it's like having to find a good balance. You know, you do want to spend some time, figure out what really works for you, but don't get caught up in it and forget about what it's for. You know, it's for you to draw. It's for you to really like the process. For you to be motivated to practice and fail. You will, like, if you will, you know, you're always learning. I'm always learning. I'm still not satisfied with my work at all. You know, well, not going to say at all. There are moments where I do like some of the stuff that I produce, but I always feel like I could do more and I could do better. You know, I could push myself even more so, and I can't wait to get to that level. You know, and we're talking about leveling up. Can't wait to level up and bring myself to the next level. And sometimes, you know, that could be unmotivating as well. But yeah, like, all those things are supposed to inspire you to level up in your drawing, not your tools. Yeah, and procrastination is, of course, I'm sure you guys are very well familiar with it because everybody is the biggest anchor. You know, it stops your progress. It stops you from leveling up. And yeah, I caught myself on doing it multiple times where I'm like, okay, if I get this item, I'm going to start drawing more. If I get this item, I'm going to start drawing more, you know, and this and this and this. Granted, a lot of the stuff I ended up using anyways. So it wasn't just stuff that I wanted to, like, sidetrack my responsibility of, like, sitting down and just drawing. I actually did end up using a lot of it and still do, like, even to this moment, even on the stream. But I did always keep one eye open when it came to that. Like, I would kind of criticize myself about it and be like, well, are you really, or are you just saying that to procrastinate, you know, because you don't want to wrestle with some reality. You know, there is that reality of, like, well, am I improving, things going somewhere, you know, that starts to creep in. And a lot of people want to avoid that, including myself. And it's important to push past it, because if you don't, it's going to take over and you're not going to level up. And the times that I did level up were the times where I always kept pushing past that frame of mind, you know, that moment of, like, well, is it going anywhere, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And now I look through these sketchbooks and I'm like, man, huge difference in comparison to what I'm doing now. You gotta be your own cheerleader. That's the best motto for it. The best cheerleader is yourself. You gotta have those talks with yourself and really confront yourself. That is, I think, part of self-discovery. And the beauty about art is that if you want to excel at it, it kind of pushes you to like self-discover. Are you procrastinating? You have that conversation with yourself. You confront yourself and you say like, well, what's the honest truth here? Is it really this, or is it because you just don't want to sit down and confront yourself on your inadequacies and things that you got to improve on? You suck at drawing hands and you're trying to escape it by saying it's this pencil, or I got to get a new one, or it's this or the other one. But have you actually sat down and practiced drawing hands? So yeah, that's what I mean by being your own cheerleader, is like telling yourself like, no, you got to really sit down and do this. You got to motivate yourself. And that's really one of the biggest processes of drawing, is that you are the only person who's going to tell yourself to do it. Everybody else is going to like either tell you shouldn't waste your time, or isn't going to consider that as something to talk about with you. So you gotta, if you want to get better, if you want to improve, if you want to level up, you gotta have these talks with yourself, and you gotta really lay it into yourself. And in a lot of ways, it makes you a better person in general, because you teach yourself that way of thinking, that way of motivating, or, and again, it's important not to break yourself down, being like, you're terrible, you're just, the way you have that dialogue with yourself is very important. You don't want to like destroy yourself and your own, self-esteem or whatever. So, in that process, in this whole process of figuring out what's wrong, really, what are you trying to escape, and confronting yourself, that dialogue goes into other parts of your life. It could be dealing with other things that are going on. The ability to look within yourself and be like, what's wrong here? Like that dialogue, like, is it the chair? Is the chair uncomfortable? Are my muscles sore? That dialogue could pour into other things in your life. You could ask yourself that same question, like, what's wrong right now? What's off about what's going on with me in my life? And then just have an honest talk and really figure out what it is and try to find that solution. Figure out what you need to do to get past that. If you got to read books about it, if you got to do research on it, if you got to write about it, if you got to ask people, whatever it is, as long as you end up having that dialogue with yourself, you've already won. You've already came close to leveling up. That's like your experience points racking up until, that blinking moment where you level up is around the corner. So not only do you level up as as an illustrator or artist or whatever, but you also level up as a person. That is the beauty of art. It pushes you to be the best possible version of yourself. If you want to get somewhere with it, and it teaches you certain things to that, like as I mentioned, carry over into other parts of your life that really become beneficial. What a rant that started about paper, right? And being able to see through one page to the next one. It's just a good reminder. It's a good it's a good thing to keep in the back of your mind. Like, I haven't had that conversation with myself in a while. Maybe it's time for me to level up. Why am I not drawing more? What is it exactly? And really have that honest talk. Maybe I'm too scared. Too scared of the disappointment. I don't like that, I can't draw this, or I don't like how this is coming out. Well, maybe I should sit down and draw it more until I get it right every day. I did it with this. Let's say if you were like, I got really good at drawing arms, and I did the same thing there, and eventually I got better at it, so why not do the same thing with hands now? And really push yourself past that. And I'll tell you, it is a daily thing. Like, I do it every day. I wake up and I'm like, I should sit down and draw right now. Like, not even think about anything else. I should just immediately sit down and start drawing. And sometimes it works, sometimes I don't take that route. I don't have it. So this is in some ways also motivation for me to be like, you have to have that conversation with yourself on a daily basis. You want to level up, you got to do it. And it's also good to check in with yourself, while you're having these conversations. Also remind yourself, well, I did come this far doing this, so if I could do it then, I could do it again. That's what I also mean by being your own cheerleader. It's not just about pep talks and motivating yourself to sit down and draw. It's also about recognizing your own achievements, your own abilities, to inspire you to sit down and keep going. Whoa, guys, I really ranted this one out. It's 9:10. Holy moly. All right, y'all. Yeah, I'm going to take a break. Maybe a shorter one this time. It's not actually going to be 5 minutes. Yeah, I really, I really went out there. So stick around, y'all. I'm going to take a 5-minute break, and I will be back for the project stream. If you guys enjoy the content, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. They both will help the stream grow. And I'll see you in a few. Welcome back, viewers. This is the Art Lounge Alley Project Part 45. I'm your host, and I will jump into today's sesh. Here it is. Getting more and more done with this project. Defining more features. I feel like it's still... I feel like I could always add more and more. I could improve parts of the drawing even more. So I think I did more work here off the stream